Welcome to the Cashflow Project podcast. Are you looking to better your financial situation by increasing your cash flow? Too busy to hunt for real estate deals or don't know where to start? Then you're in the right spot. Join us as we dive in and talk about investing for cash flow using multifamily real estate.
Welcome to the Cashflow Project podcast. I'm your host, Steve Fieros with Tri-City Equity Group. Excited today. We're on for another great episode with Jens Nielsen on the show. So after more than 25 years in IT, Jens reached a point where he wanted greater freedom, impact and growth. He made a bold pivot into commercial real estate and has since become a partner in over 2,700 apartment units, guys. So that should perk your ears up and be pretty excited about that. And he's also working on several industrial properties. So we're going to dive in a little bit of that here in our conversation as maybe a potential opportunity if you're looking for something non-traditional or maybe not something that you've heard about so much. He's raised over $10 million in private equity and managed projects valued at over $250 million. And along the way, he's seen that the most successful investors and leaders weren't just financially savvy. They were disciplined, focused, and committed to continuous improvement. So that realization has inspired him to become a certified high-performance coach so that he can help others build both wealth and personal excellence. It's funny, we're talking off camera. We actually have a mutual acquaintance in that sphere. And I've personally seen the impact that he's had coaching-wise for a good friend of mine. And I don't know that maybe we'll have him on the show to give some personal feedback, but I know that it works. And so that's always great to see. But yes, I just want to welcome you to the show. I'm excited for our conversation. And I know we're going to provide a ton of value to our listeners and our audience. So thank you for hopping on with me.
No, thanks, Steve. I'm excited. It's so fun. We know somebody in common.
Yeah, no, very cool, very cool. But you've obviously had a ton of very storied history, I love hearing when people have a different experience and exposure in a different industry, because a lot of times you can bring fresh insight into, let's say, a real estate or where the sphere that you're working in now with coaching and real estate as well. So, but for those of our listeners that may not be familiar with you, give us a little bit more of your background. How did you get started, both for one in IT and then made a big jump, obviously, into a completely different sector, different field. So I'd love to hear more about your backstory and how you got going.
Yeah, thanks. Obviously, as people may recognize, I have a slight accent and a foreign name. So I was born and raised in Denmark, left Denmark in my early 20s. First, I went to London, England, because of some work opportunities in the early 90s. I was 22, 23 years old. Moved to London, England then, and worked in telecommunication. And for those who are in their 50s may recognize or remember, that's when the telecommunication really exploded. We was going from analog to digital, and everybody was investing a lot of money in it. So there was a huge opportunity at that point. And then that was an American company I worked for in London. And in 1996, so 30 years ago this year, they transferred me to Maryland because they were growing in the US and they wanted my expertise. And I was like, hey, I'm 24 years old, 25 years old. Why not? Why don't I move to a new country or yet another new country? Because I was a little tired of living in London, but the US was just, the weather was better and there was just this tremendous amount of opportunity. I came without a degree. I had a vocational degree from Denmark, basically I was a technician. And I did well in that, but my boss told me, hey, if you want to really have opportunities open up for you, you probably should get a degree. So while I was working full time, I was also into bicycle racing. I had met my now wife. I decided to go to school while I was doing all these other things. So I ended up going to University of Maryland, getting my undergrad and my graduate degree in computer system management because I was still interested in telecommunication, computers, and technology. And then that led me to multiple careers. After 10 years in Maryland, I had gotten married since. We decided we were tired of the crowds and the traffic and everything else. So we decided to move west, actually southwest, because my wife had family down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we moved from, metropolis of DC, suburbs of Maryland to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which was a huge shift. But we've then been out here in the Southwest for 20 years. Albuquerque, Durango, Colorado, and now Santa Fe, New Mexico. So we love the Southwest. The sun always shines and you have open spaces and you have anything from desert to high mountains and skiing and everything else. So 20 years out here. And when I hit my mid 40s, I was like, okay, do I want to be in IT for another 20 years. Retiring 65, that was still 20 years. I was like, man, I already put in 20 years. Do I want to do this another 20? And it just sounded daunting. I was like, no, something has to change. And I looked around. I was like, what can I do? I wasn't really into startups and stuff. So I realized, oh, wait a minute, real estate, here's an avenue I could pursue that made sense. So I started out slowly by buying some fourplexes, a small 11 unit, just out of my own account in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that was the starting point 10 years ago. So I'm happy to dig into any whatever questions you have around all that.
Yeah. No, you've got quite a bit of a background there. And I love even just from what you said there, for one, that it sounds like you were never afraid to venture out and start on a journey. It's an adventure. And it sounds like that's the mindset that you've taken. It's okay. Hey, look, I'll never benefit from something if I don't get out there and try. And so it's especially going international. I think for a lot of Americans, I don't feel like that's something that they usually take into consideration. My wife is foreign born, and we've been very blessed to have traveled quite a bit internationally. But I feel like that's usually an experience, especially to work and to move. This is an adventure. I think that probably is going to set the tone for, my guess is, your career. It's okay, look, we can try something new, that there's nothing scary about that. There's opportunity there in a different market, in a different country, a different state, a different industry. So yeah, very cool about that. Also, too, and we can probably dive in a little bit about this later. I'd be curious to get your take after spending such a long career in IT and technology, how much that's actually factored into maybe your operations now, or what AI is obviously a hot button topic for across multiple industries. Obviously, we're entering in a period of lots of disruption. So I'd love to get your take on that and how you see that factoring into capital raising or operations and that kind of deal. Now, you did mention that you did start with kind of small residential multis. Was there a reason that you did that to start versus, I feel like a lot of investors, I understand, I can wrap my head around a single family house. Oh, I can rent that out. Oh, maybe my family did that and then we rented out at the house that we used to live in. How did you go straight to multiple units right off the bat? Did you do research and led you to that, or how did you get to that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I was living in a small town in Colorado, and you couldn't buy a house there that you could rent out and cash flow. It just didn't work. So you either had to go south into New Mexico or further west, so everything was like at least an hour drive in a few different directions. Wait a minute, why would I want to buy one house, get a few $100s in cash flow? I was like, man, I got to buy all these houses and manage all these houses, because I knew my goal was to make $10,000 a month. My goal was to quit my W-2 job. And I had a 10-year plan which obviously was accelerated, but I knew what my goal was. I was like, oh my God, how many houses would I have to buy? This is insane. This doesn't work. So I was looking around for some mentors locally, because this was before all the gurus were starting their coaching programs and stuff like that. So I looked around and I found a friend who was also investing in real estate. And I sat down with him and said, okay, tell me a little bit more. How does this work? And he was in mobile home parks and still is. He said, first of all, just go to Albuquerque. It's 3.5, 4 hours away. There's plenty of good deals to be had down there. Call up this broker, call up Mr. Chuck, and he'll help you. He loves to work with new investors and so on. And I was like, okay, let me do that. And it was random, but I was, again, why not just buy a fourplex, right? And this was when fourplexes were 115, 120, 150K. It was much, the price point was very different.
Sure.
So that was one thing. And then the other thing was, since I bought out of state, out of my local area, I realized that I am an investor. I'm not an owner operator. Because I think people fall into this trap of, I have a house down the street, I should just maintain it and fix it myself. And suddenly you have another job and you can never scale and grow. So it helped me to just, hey, I'm going to find good management. I'm going to trust them to do the management and the rehab and everything else. And I'm going to just oversee that. And that was really that shift that allowed me to become an investor versus an owner operator, which can be a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, that's a good distinction, because I think too often times people want to, I have to do it. And that can be a blessing. It can be a curse. If you're a contractor or you're an agent or you have some kind of unfair advantage, okay, great. Bring that experience, let's say, to the table. But for a lot of people, they're not. And that can actually hinder them from getting started. You could have easily said, I'm not local to that market. I don't know anybody there. I can't buy. We get that a lot here in Hawaii. We're thousands of miles away from the mainland. Our median sales price here is $1 million. And so they're thinking, okay, hey, am I really going to buy another property that's $1 million? And maybe I'm break even or I'm slightly negative, I'm okay with that. And they're like, that always blows my mind. And it's like, go to another market, go somewhere else where it makes sense. And it doesn't have to be you that's doing it. Hire a local property manager, hire a local expert in whatever strategy that you're trying to do that can help facilitate the strategy you're trying to do. Because again, I'm sure you saw, look, I'm not buying a 4-unit in Colorado for $100,000 or whatever it is. And so it's okay, let me look at the landscape. Let me look around me. What contacts do I have? Is there a different strategy that I can, or a different market that I can actually accomplish what I'm setting out to do? So that's great. Okay. So you started with these residential did you stay there then? Or how did you progress from there?
Yeah, so in the first few years, it stayed relatively small. Me and my wife bought those four units, and we bought an 11 unit on a seller financed deal. And then we started scaling a little bit. A year or two in, we bought a 38 unit as a joint venture. And that was kind of like, that 38 unit taught me that, okay, I can actually bring in other partners and help, quote unquote, raise capital. Let's bring a team together and so on. So that 38 unit was the first kind of foray into that. And at that time, I found one of these coaching programs that I joined, and that got me around other people that were doing bigger things. So I started hearing about syndications and it's like, this sounds interesting. How do I get into it? But I didn't have a network to do that. So I joined these events and started building a group of people up that I could participate and partner with. And then that led to, we bought a small mobile home park in between, resold that and some other deals. There was some stuff in here and there. But in 2019, that's when it really took off. When we started syndicating. We did 3 syndications in 2019 with some partners. And that was just a small part of the GP, but that got me to see what it all looked like, which then led to more deals in 20 and 21 and 22 and so on as we were riding the low interest market back then.
Yeah, no, I know we're completely different debt environment, the interest rates. But it sounds like you've obviously raised a ton of capital. You've been a part of a ton of deals. I love that you got pretty early on, you saw, okay, the benefit of a team, because even starting with let's say buying out of market, then you understand, okay, hey, I get to leverage somebody else's skill set, a different market. It's something that I'm not doing. And again, the bigger, just for our listeners, the bigger deals that you go to, especially as you start to raise capital, especially as you take on more units, you understand more and more, look, it's not just what I can do. I need to leverage the skill sets, the capital, the resources, the time, the talent of other people so that we can all benefit together. You look at any company that has been able to scale up, it's never a one-man show. Elon's a talented guy, but he has not accomplished everything that he's done being a solo operator. He has leveraged the most brilliant minds to allocate capital effectively, efficiently across multiple sectors. So again, you have to look at that yourself and be okay with that. I feel like that's a laying down of pride thing for a lot of people. I don't know how to do that, so I guess I can't do that. I can't invest in mobile home parks like you guys. I can't invest in larger commercial properties like you guys. Guess what? Jens mentioned, he mentioned it there. He started networking with people. If you don't have anybody in your circle that's doing the things that you want to do, guess what? Get outside of your circle. Go meet some other people. Go network with some people who are maybe doing bigger deals, who are investing in mobile home parks or investing in commercial or investing in bigger properties or investing in out of state, whatever it is that you want to aspire to or get to. So you need to get around some people and get some coaching. There's a reason that you offer coaching. It's okay. You can help other people. Even just a lot of times is the biggest distance is literally the distance right here between your 2 ears. Guys, that's usually the biggest impediment. At least that's been my personal experience. I don't know if you can comment on that, but okay. So you scaled up quite a bit. And so what are you guys currently working on now? What do you see in your current portfolio? Do you see any new opportunities on the horizon that maybe people aren't fully realizing, or what are you seeing on the landscape right now?
Yeah, the market started shifting in 22, 23. Interest rates started to increase and expenses went through the roof. There was a period of rapid growth of income as well, but suddenly expenses started growing quicker than the income. So we're like, do we kind of just sit on our hands here and wait for the market to change, or do we pivot a little bit? And we had also done a lot of value add apartments, and I was like, this is probably a lot of risk here. So we decided that this is again all down to networking. I had met a guy a few years before here in Santa Fe, and he said, I invest in commercial warehousing and stuff. Oh, that's cool, Max. Good for you. I wasn't really interested. Then he comes to me there, I think it was in 23. He's okay, hey, I found this deal here. I can't take it down by myself. Do you want a partner? Maybe we can syndicate it, do a small deal. And I hadn't really done a lot of apartments had slowed down. I was like, okay, let's take a look at it. And he became a little bit my mentor. Okay, this is how we look at the market. It's not rent per unit, it's rent per square foot per year. You can do triple net where you can bill back a bunch of stuff to the tenants. And the management, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I helped him do the underwriting. We got the debt on there. We raised some money. And suddenly we're the owner of our first industrial project there in 23. It's been 3 years already. But that really showed me that there are other asset classes that may make sense when apartments are a little depressed because of debt costs and expenses and so on. Maybe we can go somewhere else where the cap rates are higher at the buying standpoint and so on. And that's been an interesting journey. We've since bought 2 more. We bought what we call flex space, which is just kind of garage style commercial. And then we bought another big warehouse roughly a little over a year ago that we are on a contract to sell for a return, be like a 50% return in a year and a half or something like that. So
awesome.
150%, you're including your initial investment. So suddenly it was like, this is pretty cool. And it's so easy, Steve. If you just have 1 or 2 tenants in a big space, the management is so much easier than dealing with apartments. So that's why we love that.
Yeah, I've heard that before from our focus is specifically multifamily, and we've done well over 1,000 units. And it's, of course, at the end of the day, it's always going to boil down to the interaction with people, whether that be on your team, property management side, or dealing with the individual tenant. So when you're dealing with a business and you're dealing with far fewer tenants, I could definitely see the dynamic changing in terms of management. So yeah, no, okay, I really like that. So do you see that are these obviously a lot of this guys too, and it's maybe very market specific. We're talking about the strategy as a whole, but there could be another opportunity wherever you are. And again, don't be afraid to invest outside of your own backyard. You're the perfect example of being able to do that and identify opportunity somewhere else. If you're in an expensive market, I guarantee you, for one, there's an opportunity in your market that you probably haven't considered, for one. But if you're not comfortable with, that's okay. Go somewhere else and you can find another strategy, another asset class that may make more sense. Is that an opportunity that you're going to continue to see? You think you'll see more growth in, specifically in your market that you're investing? Or are you guys evaluating other markets with the same strategy or similar strategy?
Yeah, so I'm a little concerned about doing industrial in other markets because it's very local. There's always going to be a need for apartments, places, but industrial really can be, maybe you have a market that's overbuilt or businesses are moving out of and stuff like that. That can be a challenge. So I do like to stay local with it just because there's also, can you find industrial management? That can be hard too. So that's why we're quote unquote self-managing these deals,
Sure.
which makes sense. So I would do it here. So I live about an hour away from Albuquerque, but I would do it here in Santa Fe as well, although the price points are significantly higher. So, excuse me. So that's definitely a market that we're still looking at and investigating and so on. It's gotten a little weird this year or in 2025 with tariffs and other things. A lot of businesses were nervous and didn't know exactly how to plan. So that has caused things to change a little bit. Not that we still have high occupancy, but it's been a little bit strange.
Sure.
So maybe there's get some more clarity on that could help. So we'll definitely continue to look at that. And I'll probably also continue to look at apartments. I think when it comes to apartments, I probably wouldn't syndicate these large deals at the moment just because raising capital is somewhat harder. So if I can find some smaller deals and potentially joint ventures, that would probably also be more exciting these days to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, we talked a little bit about this earlier. I'd be curious, like what kind of disruption do you see? Obviously with the industrial space, we would have I guess you wouldn't have had so much exposure during COVID. We did see shakeups to the landscape during that time. A lot of work from home. Okay. That changed the dynamics for certain markets and different strategies. We're seeing a lot of disruption, a lot of technology, a lot of industries being shaken up. Do you see that affecting any of the spaces that you're currently working in, or is that helping you in any way, like just with your technology background? That's the only reason I'm thinking about it.
So on the management side, we're not a property management company, but if you don't stay on the forefront of technology and AI and everything else, that's definitely a risk. You are from a management standpoint. From the physical location of properties, what I really like about the industrial is that it the stuff we've been buying, it would be class C. So those are kind of like these location in the city that you're not going to be building a new warehouse. You're going to go out on the outskirts to build 400,000 square feet Amazon warehouse. So there is definitely a need for these infill locations, for these places in the city, especially if you're a plumber or a car shop or something. You don't want to be 25 miles away. You want to be where your customers are. So there is a demand for that. All the product that is a little bit cheaper and maybe the ceilings are a little lower, but there's definitely demand for that in the cities. So that's why we like that. Of course, we also have to remember that if the market shifts and businesses start to go out of business, industrial is going to be one of these areas that may be hit sooner than other aspects. So that's a risk that you are taking as well.
I appreciate that. And this is something that I think that you should be aware of as an investor in general. You need to be aware of the macro picture. Like, well, all right, okay, we have different administrations that come and go. Regulations can change. So you kind of you do need to be aware of that, like a potential changing landscape tax, both from a tax standpoint, from industry growth standpoint, and then be nimble with your strategy. You've obviously shifted a few different times. You were residential to larger commercial to industrial to multifamily. All right. Kind of have to have your tap dancing shoes. And honestly, I think that's probably beneficial for all of our listeners. If you're kind of tuning in, we're going through a period of rapid change. That's okay. There's opportunity. That's gonna unearth opportunity, but you need to be aware of that as well. And so if you need to tweak or change or modify your strategy, that's okay. Don't be afraid to do that. Kind of have your tap dancing shoes on, so to speak, and be willing to see opportunities. Don't think, okay, hey, this is drying up now. We're not, administration changes. And so all the development is going to go away for reshoring production or whatever. Okay, that's all right. Hey, you know what? There's going to be a new opportunity then. Be able to identify that opportunity. So yeah, so just be aware of that as you're going about investing. So thank you for sharing that. I would say too, I'll transition a little bit. Obviously, you've been coaching now for a while. That's going to be different from let's say your capital raising and although I'm sure it factors into it. It's a different strategy. It's a kind of a different sector. Tell us a little bit about your coaching business.
Yeah, Steve, the reason I did that was let me step back for a minute. So I had this 10-year plan of invest in real estate. After 10 years, I was going to retire from my job and live the good life or whatever. That was the plan. And as I started seeing the income come in and the syndicating, I was like, wow, I can actually do this much quicker, but I didn't have the courage. And as you said earlier, like our biggest obstacle is between these two ears, our own mindset, our own limited beliefs are our biggest obstacle. And my wife was tired of living in Colorado. She wanted to go back to New Mexico. I wasn't ready. I had a great job there. I worked for this Native American tribe and it was great. I loved where we lived, but she was done. And I didn't have the courage to quit my job and move with her. So, oh my God, it's too scary. And that was the pandemic was hitting and starting. I was like, that was even more fear showed up. So at that point, I had two choices. I could have stayed where I was and probably my wife would have left me, or I could start making some changes. And the changes I needed a coach to help me see those changes. It wasn't even I had done the mentorships and all these things for the real estate investing. That was great. But I needed somebody to change my mindset about what was possible and what I was capable of. So I hired that coach in early 2020, and he helped me see a bunch of opportunities and get courage to start changing my direction and everything else. And he changed my life, and I realized, wow, I want to do more of this. I'd done some mentoring and some other things, but I really didn't really have a framework. So I decided to become certified myself, a certified high-performance coach, so that I could help others realize their dreams. Maybe that was a dream of real estate. Maybe that was a dream of just leaving their W-2 job or better health or wellness or connection with their loved ones, because I really saw the impact myself. And that led me to that certification and then started getting my own clients. Initially, most of my clients came from the real estate space because I had the kind of credibility in that area. But then later on, as real estate started changing, I branched out. So now I worked with clients that are attorneys and they are owner of bakeries and they're residential real estate agents and they own gyms and they do all kinds of things, because the coaching kind of framework works for so many different things. And just if I can help somebody change their life, that's just the best thing. So I do a lot of that because that really is very rewarding for me to help people change their lives.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, I love that what you said here. It's okay. You had it in your mind to, hey, I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna live the good life. And a lot of times, like when I'm just having networked with just countless people over the years, met countless people, it's okay. What is that to you? What is the good life to you? Like you have to define what success looks like. You mentioned, hey, you're gonna have some goals. You mentioned earlier, all right, my goal is I want $10,000 a month coming in. Okay, great. Oh, hey, I want to live the good life. Okay, awesome. Hey, that could be like our goals, but what does that look like for you? And you, whoever listening or watching, like we can't answer that for you. You have to be able to answer that for yourself. Because it could be, hey, I'm using my gifts to help out other people. Super rewarding. Okay, great. Maybe you love your job. Awesome. How are the other areas of your life? What does success look like to you? And so this is a common thing that I'll frequently tell people is, okay, look, you have to know yourself, and you can define what success looks like to you. And sometimes, like you would help out with your coaching students or your coaching clients, sometimes you just need to have people that will tell you, hey, it's okay. Give you permission to step out, give you permission to try, give you permission to not do the same thing that you've been doing the last 20 years of your life, that maybe it hasn't gotten you to the point where you want. Maybe you had a different mindset of what success looked like to you, and that's okay. So yeah, I appreciate you doing that. And I think there's a ton of value in coaching, guys. Right now, when we're recording this, the Olympics are going on. And I've always found it amusing that we're totally okay watching our favorite sports teams, our favorite athletes, and seeing the pinnacle of success that they can reach. We'll applaud the gold medalist in whatever it is that they're doing. You have to realize, do you think that they have coaches in their life? Do you think that they have strength coaches and nutritionists and mindset coaches and skill coaches? They have so many people that are pouring into their success. So why don't you think that you need that in your own personal life? And I think too often we dismiss that. That's for somebody else. I'm not an Olympic athlete. Okay, but you want success in your own life. You don't have to be an Olympic athlete. Success for you looks like something different. I love that you identified that hey, look, I need to go pursue something outside of myself. And then now you're able to bring that and bring value to others doing that for them as well. So yeah, I love that you're doing that. And you guys have some events coming up, or how does that look like for you? Is it just you just do one-on-one coaching, you do group, or how does that work?
Oh man, I do a little bit of everything. One-on-one, that's my passion, but sometimes that's also the premium solution for people. So I'm also a certified positive intelligence coach. So I'm actually launching a program in April. I'm just finishing my January program right now. And that's really to rewire your mind. If you want to rewire your mind, if you want to get a new insight of things at a more approachable cost versus one-on-one. So I do that again. But the event, so early for like from 21, 22 to 25, or 24, we ran a bunch of like events in Denver, Colorado, like a multifamily meetup and so on. As multifamily started to change a little bit, we realized it was tougher and tougher to get people to show up. So I was like, why don't we scale this down? Why don't we make it more intensive, a little bit smaller, so everybody can get to know each other? And I actually hosted it in my own house. So we'll have 20, 25 people show up. And we've done that the last 3 years in the fall, because that's the best time to be here in New Mexico. So we call that the Paid Forward. It's still called the Paid Forward Multifamily Mastermind, but it's more like an entrepreneur event. People come, they really work through their mindset and their vision and their goals and their purpose, and then also tactical things around how to run a business. And we go out and we go for some hikes, and we have great dinners and music and so on. So that's coming up again. We haven't opened registration yet because we try to wait a little bit later, but that's coming up in the fall, and that's definitely something I really love to share with others.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And again, this kind of goes back to surrounding yourself with people who think differently than you, who can help you to level up. Because again, if you want to be a high performer, if you want to have success in your life, guys, get around other people who have that and also have that same goal. You need people surrounding you who want to see you win. Because a lot of times I found, hey, my family doesn't do that. Okay, then guess what? If you're going to be the one in your family to step out and make a change, then you're likely going to need some feedback and input from people who are not your family. And that's okay. You mentioned earlier, and I love this, you've been giving me lots of good one-liners here, is rewire your mind. What I found was, okay, because I've done a ton of personal work, just personal development and just kind of overcoming a lot of issues for me personally. You mentioned rewire your mind. Guys, if you are whatever age you are, 20, 30, 40, 50, however, 60, however old that you are, you have to think in your mind, all right, I've got 20, 30, 40, 50 years of a pattern or a way of thinking that if you don't have the results in your life of whatever your definition of success is, you're going to have to rewire your mind. And so that means, all right, I've got 30 years of input going one way. If you want to make a massive change, then you're going to have to unwind that and you're going to have to rewire some things. The way that you see the world, you're going to need some changes. And this is why you hire a coach, because they can help navigate that with you and for you. Okay, hey, look, I see you're doing this. This is a pattern. We got to change that pattern up. If you want to go a different direction, you need a different map for a different destination. No, I love that. And I would highly encourage, if you're a listener, if you're in the area, hey, go check out their group, pay it forward if that timing works out for you. And if not, totally okay. I guarantee you there's other options around you as well. So I would highly encourage you guys in order to do that. But this is a time in our show where we have something, what we call our fire round, just a little bit more rapid fire, brief Q&A. Is that something you're up for?
Let's do it.
All right. Awesome. All right. First question. What is your favorite book recommendation other than for all of our real estate investors? It's always Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the Purple Bible. Do you have any favorite go-to recommendation? It doesn't have to be real estate. It doesn't have to be, it can be literally anything. It could be mindset, it could be finance, nutrition, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I would say High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. That's a great book to really develop the habits that you need to find success.
Yeah, no, great book recommendation. I was going to say, I'm looking over at my bookshelf and I'm like, pretty positive I got a copy of that. All right, next question. What would you consider your superpower to be?
Going behind background, like the underwriting, the numbers, all these different things, because that's what I really specialize in, is sitting behind the scenes and putting the deal together.
Okay. Yeah. All right. For the busy working professional, somebody who's trying to work towards, let's say, financial freedom or just personal time freedom, what advice would you have for them?
You have to make some sacrifices for a while. If you are already in a full-time job and you want to create the freedom or do something, realize that for a while there's going to be some sacrifices. So maybe that's fewer hours watching Netflix or whatever that may be. But just put that work in and you will see the results. But you can't expect it to happen without extra sacrifice, extra work.
Yeah, no, 100% guarantee with that. A lot of times that's usually a recommendation I'll give to people as they're networking with them. Get rid of your TV. Like I haven't had a TV for 7 years now. And it's like, you will find things to do with the time. So yeah, no, that's great. All right. And then if you had a time machine and you can go back and visit 20-year-old you, what advice would you have for him? A lot of changes, you know.
Most people are like, oh, you should buy more real estate early. But if I can give myself advice at 20, so we're talking 1991, I would say double down on this internet thing. Get involved on the internet early on, start a website, do whatever. That would have been a golden opportunity back then.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the early 90s, no doubt. And maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe that's something that you guys can apply now. Again, we're kind of stepping into this new age. So
I'm not 20 years old anymore, Steve. That's the problem.
For some of our listeners, maybe that's diving into AI or, different technology or whatever.
Yes, absolutely. So there is another huge disruption here. And if you can take advantage of that, 100% do that.
Yeah, no doubt. I really appreciate you hopping on today with us and sharing with our audience. If our listeners want to reach out to you, they want to connect with you, what are some ways that they can do that?
And easiest is my personal website. It's just my first name, Jens, and last name Nielsen, Nielsen.us, jensnielsen.us. There's an ebook I have on there that is how to actually create your vision, how to really get clear on your vision, because that's always the first step before you start a business, invest in real estate, whatever. So that's out there. And there's links to my coaching, my real estate portfolio, anything like that. So start there. And my phone number's on there. If anybody want to give me a call, or schedule a call with me.
Awesome. Jens, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your journey with our audience and with me. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day. And we're so excited that you're making such an impact out in the community, in the investor community, and in people's personal lives. And guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks so much for hopping on with us. We'll have to circle back with you in the future. And maybe, who knows, maybe we'll come visit you in New Mexico.
That's right. Love to see you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Aloha.
See you. Bye.
All right. Great conversation with Jens Nielsen. both an incredible investing career that he's had so far, and obviously continued to do that, going from small residential multi to industrial. And all right, seeing market changes. He's helped a lot of investors through raising capital and bringing them onto projects. So he's just been a part of a lot of different deals in different markets, different strategies. Very encouraging, I think, from that standpoint. So glad to have had him on. And guys, if you're interested in investing with us, or really just learning more about what we do, go to tricityequity.com. You can take a look at our company and the different track record that we've had. We'd love to schedule a call with you. If you're local to here in Honolulu, we talked on the recording there about networking with other people, maybe different industries, or really who just want to level up their own personal success. We'd love to connect with you. If you're here on island or you're coming out to visit, connect with us, Honolulu Multifamily and more. We've got meetups every month. We've been doing that for 6 years, and I've loved the amount of people that we've met and connected with out there at those meetups. It's a great place to just come out and network. It may be the only time or only experience that you may have encountered up to this point with doing that, and so that they know that there's a local option for you. So we would love to see you out. And then if you guys are finding value in the podcast, share, subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. That helps us to grow the channel and to get a great guests on like Jens and more in the future. So we appreciate you guys. Go out, take some action, and we'll see you on the next episode. Aloha.